Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. So I'm a woman chess grandmaster Atousa, and today we want to talk about Caro-Kann Defense, and I want to show you a couple of traps in this opening because I know a lot of you guys asked me about this opening, and I found a lot of good positions that you can get as white. So even if you're playing as black, I think watching this video can be helpful because you want to avoid such traps. But basically in the traps I want to show you, white wins the game. As you know, Caro-Kann Defense, the name is from two players. So the reason that they call it Caro-Kann is the name of two actually players, Caro and Kann. So they analyzed this opening back in 1886, and one of them could win a beautiful game in 1885, and that's why this opening called Caro-Kann Defense. Okay, so let's dive into these traps. Okay, as you know, the first move is e4 and c6. So now we have Caro-Kann Defense. And here white has a couple of options, but I would say the most popular one is either to play d4 or knight f3. So first I'm gonna show you d4. So let's say white plays d4, black plays d5. Black is attacking the pawn, so here the best move, or one of the main lines here, is to play knight c3, but of course you can also push the pawn, which is advanced variation. But today I want to show you this line. So knight c3, and then black usually takes the pawn on e4, knight takes e4, and knight f6. Okay, so this move is even popular nowadays, so most people take this knight in this position, but actually you can also play queen d3, which is a tricky move. Why? Because if, let's say, black goes bishop f5 to pin your knight, now you can win the bishop simply by capturing that knight with check. He has to take back with either pawn, and then you're going to win the bishop. So he can't pin your knight on e4. And if black plays e5, because usually if you study Caro-Kann Defense, you know that the e5 is a kind of a typical move in Caro-Kann Defense, but here e5 is not the best move. Why? Because d takes e5. Okay, if the queen takes, we can take back with the bishop and our knight is protected, right? So let's say black checks on a5. Queen checks the king, and the queen is attacking the pawn as well. So here we can play bishop d2, queen takes e5, and then here white has a beautiful move, long castle. So this position is a famous one. You guys might have seen this position before in many tactical chess books. So if this position is familiar to you guys, please write me in comment section that from which book you found this position. Okay, so here white wants to sacrifice this knight, because if the queen takes the knight, we can simply pin the queen and win the game, right? And if the knight takes, now white has 3-move checkmate. So you have a forced checkmate in just 3 moves. I want you guys to pause this video and find the best move for white. Yes, the best move here for white is to sacrifice the queen, queen d8, which is an impressive move. The king has to take, and then you go for a discover check and double check at the same time. The king is in the check, and the king has 2 ways to escape. One is king e8 and the other one is king c7, but both of them are losing. So let's say if the king goes to e8, we can simply move the rook to d8 and we have a beautiful checkmate. And if the king goes to c7, now it is bishop's job to checkmate the king. Bishop d8, and we are covering this square with the bishop. and the rook is covering the d file, so this is a checkmate as well. So let's go back and see the second trap in Caro-Kann defense. So this time I want to show you a different position, guys. So after e4 c6, you can also play knight f3. After knight f3, black usually plays d5, then you can play knight c3, d takes e4, knight takes e4, and bishop f5, attacking the knight. You can play knight g3, attack. You can attack the bishop. Bishop g6 and h4. h4 is another typical move in Caro-Kann defense. The idea is to push the pawn to h5 and trap the bishop on g6. So black usually plays h6. If black pushes the pawn 2 squares, black is creating a weakness on g5, so that is not a great move. I don't recommend that if you're playing Caro-Kann defense as black. So the best move is to play h6. So after h6, white can play knight e5. White is threatening to take the bishop, and black needs to either move the bishop or protect the bishop. You might ask, the bishop is already protected. Yes, but if we take the bishop, we destroy the black's pawn structure. So for example, if black wants to move the knight out, we can play knight takes g6, f takes g6, and now here white has a huge advantage. Why? Because black got double pawns. He's got another weakness here, which is an isolated pawn, right? And it's really difficult for black to protect the pawn on g6. For example, now we can play bishop d3, and the only way to protect this pawn now is to play king f7, which, okay, costs him the castle, so he can't castle anymore. So that's why in this position, after knight e5, black should move the bishop. So let's say bishop moves to h7. Another move that black can play is queen d6, which I think is a little bit better than bishop h7. But anyway, after bishop h7, white can play queen h5. Okay, what is our plan? To checkmate the king, right? And these pieces cannot help this pawn, so the only move the only move is g6, attacking the queen. And now we have a strong move here, bishop c4. How beautiful is this bishop c4 move, guys? Because if black takes, we have a beautiful, beautiful checkmate on f7, right? Do you like this checkmate, guys? Yes. So let's go back. Obviously, black can take the queen. And let's say black moves the pawn to e6 to block our bishop. Now we have to move our queen because now black wants to take our queen. So we can move the queen to e2, and this is kind of like a tricky move. Why? Because here we are setting up a trap. In the game, black played knight f6 here. And after knight f6, white took the pawn on f7. But even if he plays something else, so let's say he plays knight d7 here, we can do the same thing. We can take on f7, we can get f4 here, right? We are attacking in two pieces at the same time. The king takes, queen e6 check, the bishop is protecting the queen, right? King g7, and then we have one move checkmate. And if black, instead of knight d7, moves the bishop to g7, we can do the same thing. Knight f7, king f7, queen here, here, and checkmate. Beautiful mate. Okay, let's go back. Let's see what happened in the game. So black played knight f6, white took the pawn on f7, and here black took with the king. But notice that if, let's say, black goes queen e7, here white can take the rook, and okay, white is up in material. That's why black took the knight on f7, but this is not a good move either because white can just checkmate the king in two moves. The queen e6 check, king g7, and queen f7 checkmate. Beautiful checkmate by white pieces. Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed these traps, and if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. And if you have any suggestions for my next videos, please do let me know in comment section, and maybe my next video will be your favorite subject in chess. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you soon.